And so, had I a glass, I'd toast you by saying, Viva la Canada, because we need you very, very badly. Thank you.
Does Justin Trudeau's free pass run out when Joe Biden takes over at the White House? Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Joining me right now to talk about this issue is known Trump hater, Biden lover, and all-around liberal, so I guess you're a big fan of Trudeau, Warren Kinsella. Some of that's accurate, some of it's not. But Warren, colleague at the Sun and an all-around good guy. But let's talk about this. Trudeau's free pass, does it run out when he no longer has Donald Trump to compare himself to? I know there's some people that say Donald Trump's done a really good job and you guys are just mean to him. Look, most Canadians don't like the guy, and so I think they've given Trudeau an easy way. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. I would. And full disclosure, as you pointed out, I did volunteer unpaid for the Biden-Harris campaign. I did that for many months. I didn't do anything important. I just phoned American citizens and encouraged them to vote early, which they did. It was the main reason I think Joe Biden won. But I think that Justin Trudeau, if you look back over his tenure as prime minister, except for that very brief period when Obama was still there, he's really benefited from Donald Trump being there. The nature of our politics is guys like you and me are continually making comparisons to the situation in the United States. So when you compare Justin Trudeau to Trump, even though Justin Trudeau is very imperfect, Trump would always look worse. Rafe Mayer, the great radio guy in BC, once said, if you're a 3 in politics, it doesn't matter that much if those around you are 2s. So if Trudeau benefited from that, that's going to change with Joe Biden.
I like that line. I've never heard that line. But, I can think of many politicians that are benefiting from the fact that their opposition or the people they're compared to are just doing worse. But I look at Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump, and I actually see a lot of similarities between the guys. The people that support them irrationally. And me, I not a Trump guy, but I also would give him credit on policies that I think went well. And you and I disagree on those, but there's some of his economic policies I think did very well for the United States, and some of his foreign policy. I mean, Israel was great, but you criticize him at all, and his supporters attack you, write you off, call you the worst names ever, in ways that don't happen with other politicians. And I see the same thing when dealing with Justin Trudeau. I will give Trudeau credit, and I will critique him. But to the Trudeau fans, I mean, I'm not even sure I can call them liberals. They're kind of cultists. There is no room for disagreement. All hail dear leader, and don't dare say anything else.
And you're absolutely right. Even though the Trudeau guys anonymously would talk about their differences with Donald Trump, they never do it on the record. And if you look at each guy as a guy, both of them are members of the Lucky Sperm Club, born to rich guys.
This is true.
Both of them, alleged not to behave terribly well with women sometimes. Both of them, indifferent to issues of racism.
Only one has worn blackface.
Only
one that we know of.
3 times that we know of. And both of them, benefited from celebrity. I believe both of them really aren't traditional politicians of the type that you and I write about. They are celebrities. And
yeah.
Because they're celebrities, they get away with things that other politicians don't. So, yeah, they're very similar guys, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why, with the exception of that one G7 meeting where Trump was very critical of Trudeau, they've generally gone along pretty well. I mean, Gerald Butts, Trudeau's former senior advisor, Steve Bannon, now under indictment, used to say that Gerald Butts was like his best friend, his little Canadian friend. So those 2 administrations were closer than I think people were aware.
Yeah, which often happens in Canadian politics. They try and keep a lot of things out of the limelight there. So Joe Biden takes over, and I know you had a column about this a little while ago. You said Trump made Trudeau look good, Biden won't. They're going to be aligned on some policy things, though, but they will also, a lot of Biden's policies will not be good for Canada. I don't think people realize that. I've written about this, the trade stuff. The people say, well, Trump was really protectionist and he had all these tariffs. Well, the most protectionist president in my lifetime prior to Trump was Obama. And Biden was part of that administration. He's still into Buy America, protectionism. He may do it in a different way, but I don't see that, Canada is going to get a nice rosy path to freer trade with Biden in the White House any more than we did with Trump.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you go back further than Obama. Historically, Democratic presidents, senators, governors, and members of Congress tend to actually be more protectionist. So I was quite surprised to see what Joe Biden had to say about the Made in America. I had a number of my readers say to me, hey, look at this guy you're supporting. He's going to hurt Canada. And I said to them, well, I hope he does not. If he does what he says he's going to do, it'll be completely contrary to multiple trade agreements that we've got with him and the world's got with him. So, maybe it's one of those situations where, Joe, you won the election and, you can stop, electioneering. But yeah, there's concerns also in Western Canada and Alberta, where I'm from. At that tail end of that second debate with Donald Trump, I think Biden made a big mistake where he seemed to suggest that he wanted to see an end of the petroleum industry. So people I know in the oil patch were quite concerned about that. So, do I like the guy? Yes. Is he perfect? No. And we got to make sure that we are keeping his feet to the fire. And Justin Trudeau, I just don't think he's got the personality that my former boss, Jean Chrétien, did.
Well, yeah, and let me ask you about that, because Chrétien, you look at different prime ministers and presidents, the protectionism used to come from Congress. But, both Obama and Trump, it came from the White House. And when it was Chrétien and Clinton or Mulroney and Reagan, these guys had really good relationships. So they just make a phone call. And do you think that Trudeau can have that kind of relationship with Biden? Because it's beneficial, regardless of who's in power. And if you like them or not, it's beneficial for Canada for the president and the prime minister to have that kind of relationship. But I'm not sure I see it either.
No, and I don't think that he and Biden are particularly close. I know that Trudeau was madly tweeting pictures of him and Biden at a single event. They were leaking that they were the ones who phoned Biden first and that they had a second phone call and so on. So they're really trying to make out their best buddies. But that relationship does not exist.
Not like it did with Trudeau and Hillary Clinton.
Or Chrétien and Clinton. But, in the case of my boss, and I'm not breaching any confidence by saying this because Mr. Chrétien has now written about it in a couple of his books. He and Clinton would disagree on softwood lumber or whatever the issue were. They would maintain a friendly professional relationship. But on certain things, the two countries did not agree. And Chrétien had the strength and had the respect of Clinton to be able to say, no, the Americans are wrong. Most visibly when he said to George W. Bush, with whom he always had a good relationship, we're sorry, George, but we're not going with you into Iraq. So Trudeau, he doesn't look like he has that kind of relationship. And one of the things, I guess he could prove me wrong, he should be picking up the phone to Joe Biden this morning and saying, look, I dropped the ball on vaccines. I've got Canadians very concerned and worried about the future. Will you help me out? Will you help direct some of those vaccines your people are going to be getting in 2 weeks to Canadians? We don't know if he's done that.
All right, Warren Kinsella, you can read him in the pages of the Sun. You can catch him with me and on radio and elsewhere. And, of course, warrenkinsella.com. Thanks, man. We'll talk again.
Thanks, Brent. Take care.